Come on, you got to get closer here, Secretary Mamie. Make us all look short. If I get in here. Rep. You and Representative Fleming should stand next to each other. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. Let me first welcome Representative Justin Fleming, whose district we are in. We thank you for your leadership. And I want to thank the members of my cabinet who are here today. You'll hear from them along with our special guests. I'm excited to be here today at Sola Salon Studios here in Harrisburg. And Dennis Owens, we're going to get you a cut and color when this is over. We'll take care of everybody here. I'm proud to be here with some hardworking entrepreneurs, some dedicated public servants, and some really incredible teachers. These are the kind of people who every day should have every opportunity to succeed here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. You know, when I took office back in January, I made a commitment to the good people of Pennsylvania to build an administration that works at the speed of business. That is making sure we can then deliver effective and efficient government, respond to Pennsylvanians in a timely manner, and break down those barriers that exist to creating real opportunity for our fellow citizens. You see, Pennsylvanians, they work really hard every day, and they deserve a government that is going to work just as hard to help them succeed. In January, I signed an executive order to do just that. My administration on that day set and planned a motion to review every single license and permit and application and certification administered by the agencies under my jurisdiction. We did that with the goal of making sure that every Pennsylvanian had certainty and a reliable set of processes that they can count on every time they applied for one of these licenses, these permits, or these certificates. Whether that's going to work and trying to get their job or trying to go get a hunting permit for the weekend. They deserve to have that certainty. I've heard from people like Aileen Geronimo right here, who've told me how important it is that their business permit process be done quickly and expeditiously so that they can be able to go and chase their dream, as she's doing here behind us. I've met with so many teachers like those in Dr. Jane Wilburn's classes at PSU Harrisburg who are ready to inspire students and fill these critical vacancies that exist in schools all across Pennsylvania. But in the past, they've been delayed getting into that job that they love because it took too darn long to get a certification. I've spoken to nurses like Eric Deal in our hospitals and nursing homes and medical clinics who face a growing caseload because of these nursing shortages. They've told me that, you know, Gov, if we could just process that nursing license a little faster, that would help get more qualified nurses on the job and lighten the load. Since I signed my executive order back in January, we have made significant progress. And as promised, I wanted to come back today and give you an update on that progress. Within the first 90 days of signing that executive order, every single agency under my jurisdiction cataloged their permits and licenses and certifications as required by the executive order. And for the first time ever, the Commonwealth logged all 2,400 permits that we issued. For the past several months, our team in the Office of Transformation and Opportunity and the Office of the General Counsel have been reviewing those processes and setting timelines for when Pennsylvanians will hear back on each and every one of those permits. And just note, when I say permits, I'm talking about all of the different things that we issue. I'll have more news to share on this in another public update very, very soon. But today, I want to share on the progress that we've already made to help Pennsylvanians like Aileen and Eric. Just by engaging in this process that I began in my first week in office, by kind of looking under the hood and looking closely at the process to apply for one of these licenses, permits, certifications, and putting real resources into speeding up the process, well, I can report back today right here in Dauphin County that we have made real progress. We have eliminated backlogs and we have cut wait times down across the board. Let me give you just a few concrete examples of how our fellow Pennsylvanians are already being helped by this review. Consider this: between January and June, the Department of Human Services cleared a backlog of more than 35,000 Medicaid provider applications, 35,000 Medicaid provider applications, helping more providers get approved and provide much needed medical care to Pennsylvanians. Here's another example. In that same time period, the Department of Health completely eliminated the backlog of more than 6,000 birth certificate amendment requests. 6,000 requests, that backlog was eliminated. Here's another example. Over the Department of Labor and Industry, you all have heard about, many of you have reported on, the backlog on unemployment compensation, which grew to an unacceptable level, particularly during COVID. When I took office, if you called the unemployment compensation office, you were on hold literally for more than 1 hour. We were able to document how long you were on hold before they even began the process of working with you. Today, that hold time has been reduced to just 17 minutes. Enormous progress, but I want to be clear, we're not done. We're going to continue to improve upon that. Here's another example. For teachers like those Dr. Wilburn educates every day, those that they're preparing, the Department of Education under Dr. Mameen's leadership has cut processing times for new in-state teacher certifications from, get this, from 12 weeks down to just 2.5 weeks. How about that? That's real progress. And this is one I'm particularly proud of under Secretary Schmidt's leadership. Entrepreneurs like Aileen, they used to have to wait 8 weeks to get the standard business license. 8 weeks. Today, if you go to Secretary Schmidt's department, you'll get that license turned around in an average of 3 days, and many of them, including Aileen's, you'll get it done in just 1 day. That is real progress. We're making progress thanks to the hard-working Commonwealth employees who are dedicated to this effort. They're the ones on the front lines. They're out there identifying areas where we can speed up the process and improve. And they are out there every day making government work better for the good people of Pennsylvania. I know these folks don't get a lot of attention in the media, and I'm not in any way knocking you or being disrespectful to you, but I hope that our fellow Pennsylvanians understand just how hard they work and appreciate the commitment that they make to serving our fellow Pennsylvanians every single day. I want you to know that our entire cabinet, not just Secretary Mameen and Secretary Schmidt who join us today, our entire cabinet is all in on this effort. The reason I'm a few minutes late is I'm just coming from our cabinet meeting where this was a topic of discussion today. So many secretaries are committed to this effort, to speeding up the processes and to getting people to work more quickly, getting people answers more quickly. This is real transformational work that we are doing. This is what good government looks like, and this is government that delivers. You've heard me talk often about our attitude in the Shapiro-Davis administration. It's a GSD attitude. It's a get, stuff done attitude. That's what we focus on every day. And this is yet another concrete example of getting stuff done for the good people of Pennsylvania. Folks like the teachers that are going to be in the classrooms, thanks to the hard work that's being done here. The entrepreneurs that can start their small business more quickly and not have to waste time and money waiting on a license or a certification coming from the Commonwealth. We all know that we have workforce shortages across the board. Not unique to Pennsylvania, this is something across the country, but here in Pennsylvania we're taking concrete, tangible steps to move the process along. I want to thank the entrepreneurs here, the teachers who are here. I want to thank the members of my cabinet here. I also want to thank the Pennsylvania Chamber and Luke Bernstein, who's here. You'll hear from him in a moment. This has been a collaborative, bipartisan effort. This is another example of common sense efforts in government to make this place work better for the good people of Pennsylvania. And I'm thankful for everyone who has been here doing this. When you look over the list of the more than 2,400 licenses, permits, certifications, the lion's share of them sit in the Department of State, led by the Secretary of the Commonwealth, Al Schmidt. And it's my honor to bring him up to the podium to say a few words, and then I'll come back and answer some questions from the media at the conclusion of all of the speakers. Secretary Schmidt, the podium is yours. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Governor. It's an honor to be here with Secretary Mumeen and others involved in this important effort. As a son of small business owners in Pittsburgh, I know and remember acutely well the needs and challenges of small business owners and the real life impact that red tape and delays can have on a livelihood. It's why I believe so strongly in the governor's vision for transforming state government to make it more efficient and business friendly. From the very beginning, the Shapiro administration has focused attention and resources on making it easier for entrepreneurs to open businesses and employ Pennsylvanians, and for qualified professionals to work in Pennsylvania. As a former senior performance analyst for the federal government, I know that when you make something a priority, as Governor Shapiro has with this, you can get it done. In response to the governor's executive order, we at the Department of State have significantly improved processing times for new business registrations and professional license applications. Everyone from clerks to managers pulled together to work long hours, including evenings and weekends, to eliminate the backlog of applications. We also cross-trained staff and filled many of our vacant positions to increase the number of clerks processing applications. The Bureau of Corporations and Charities, as the governor just mentioned, reduced processing times for new business registrations in Pennsylvania from 8 weeks to just 2 to 3 days. And sometimes, in the case here, frequently a single day. Our Bureau of Professional and Occupational Affairs has brought about significant improvement in license processing times as well. For example, the average processing time for a dentist license was 27 business days in January and is now just 4 days. The average processing time for new pharmacy graduates was 26 days in January and is now just 2 business days. The average processing time for real estate brokers' licenses was 15 business days in January and is now just a single business day. These improved processing times mean entrepreneurs don't have to delay to start a new business, and for skilled professionals to get to work more quickly. And ultimately, all Pennsylvanians benefit from a more vibrant economy and better access to the services that they need. Now, I'd like to introduce Eileen Geronimo, who owns the new Lazuli Hair Studios, which is located within Solis Salons here. This spring, as the governor mentioned, Eileen's business registration was processed by the Department of State in a single day.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. My childhood dream was to do hair and makeup. I used to practice with my Barbies. They're all weird Barbies now. They helped to channel my creativity as a kid. That childhood pastime led me to becoming a hairstylist. I spent 20 years in the beauty industry learning all I could to strengthen my skills to give my clients my best. Eventually, I needed to find a place where I could grow. In mid-April, I discovered Solis Salons would be opening here at the Shops at Susquehanna Marketplace in June. I immediately set up a meeting to hear more. Then in May, I decided to start building my business, Lazuli Hair Studio. The process for setting up my business with the State Board of Cosmetology and the Department of State for my business license was easy and not to mention quick. I filled out my form June 19th and paid my fee. Then on June 23rd, I received notice saying my business was approved. I opened Lazuli Hair Studio July 5th of this year. It took me 2.5 months to start my business. In the past, future business owners had to wait 8 weeks to have their business licenses approved, which can slow down the momentum in the business building process. Now, thanks to Governor Shapiro's help, the process is quick and easy so that new business owners can keep moving to get funding, retail space, and just do business. Thank you, Governor Shapiro, for making the process quicker so that many can make their dreams a reality.
Thank you, Eileen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now I would like to introduce Eric Deal, a nurse at UPMC. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Eric Deal. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be here with all of you this morning. As a registered nurse with UPMC in Harrisburg, being able to rely on faster processing times makes getting my license renewed less stressful. Having been an ICU nurse providing bedside nursing care during the pandemic, and now pursuing a clinical mental health counseling degree so that I'm able to directly address nurse trauma and burnout, not having to needlessly stress about future licensure delays is very much welcome and appreciated. I understand firsthand the unique stresses placed upon and experienced by our service members, veterans, and their families. I'm the proud spouse of a U.S. Army veteran. My husband served on active duty for many years. It's crucial to recognize that the sacrifices made by our service members extend to their loved ones as well. This is especially true in our household, as the commitment and dedication to public service features prominently in each of our respective careers. With that said, I'm sure that everyone here today recognizes that the strength, resolve, and resilience of our diverse military and veteran communities is directly tied to our collective defense, peace, and security. Ensuring that we honor these sacrifices means not only acknowledging them, but also creating a strong support system both during and long after military service. The Shapiro administration's efforts to improve licensing and permitting at the state level will be extremely helpful in assisting veterans and their family members as they return home. The Occupational Crosswalk program run by the Department of State in consultation with the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs will help connect the dots between military experience and qualifications for licensed professions, including nursing. And as we're gathered here at Solis Salons, it's important to note that the crosswalk also includes cosmetology and barbers. It will make the licensure process much faster and easier than before. Ensuring veterans and their family members can account for the experience and training they already have will ease the transition period back home. Thank you. I'd now like to introduce Secretary of Education, Dr. Khalid Mumi.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, you got to raise.
Yeah. Well, good morning, everyone. I am Secretary of Education, Dr. Khalid Mumi, and I'm thrilled to join the governor today to highlight the customer service improvements made by the Shapiro administration. At the Pennsylvania Department of Education, we've been working diligently to streamline the process of becoming an educator in the Commonwealth. As I'm sure many of you are aware, Pennsylvania and the nation, we are dealing with a teacher shortage. While we at PDE are taking a multifaceted approach to rebuilding our educator pipeline, we know that one of the best ways we can serve current and future teachers is by simplifying the process to obtain new certification. This can help current teachers more easily add a certification to become an administrator, allow college graduates to more quickly get into the classroom to teach, and bring more out-of-state educators into the fold here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We are proud to say that as of today, new educators can expect to receive their certification in about 2 to 3 weeks. This was a process that entails, this is a 10-week improvement. When we look at this very data point from last year, at this time last year. We have also made the certification website more intuitive and user-friendly to improve the end user experience. For example, if you have submitted your certification application, you can check the current processing timelines right on our website, and that's education.pa.gov, to see in real time how quickly the turnaround time is for your certification. Again, I want to thank Governor Shapiro for his leadership in this space, and I applaud his efforts to better serve our constituents across the Commonwealth. With that, I'd like to turn the podium over to Dr. Jane Wilburn, Chair of Teacher Education at Penn State University, Harrisburg campus, who can speak to how these improvements are benefiting Pennsylvania's current and future educators. So again, thank you so much, Governor Shapiro, and thank you so much for being here today. This is so exciting for us to be a part of this process to really reduce the timelines for certification. So thank you. Dr. Wilburn, come on up.
Thank you, Dr. Mumin. As chair of the teacher education program, I have seen firsthand how the delays in the certification have become a pain point for new teachers trying to begin their careers. The teacher application process used to take anywhere from 10 to 12 weeks, which made it really difficult for school districts to hire candidates and have them on board for the beginning of the new school year. We have a teacher candidate graduating in December, and she is being considered for a position that will open February 1st. Now that the application process will only take about 2 weeks, the school district administrators can feel confident that they can offer her this position and know that she will have her Instructional 1 teaching certificate in hand that very first day. So we are thrilled to see how the Shapiro administration has significantly improved the certification timeline for teachers and giving all of our teacher candidates some peace of mind knowing they can begin their careers very quickly once they graduate. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce now Luke Bernstein.
Thanks, Luke.
Thank you, Dr. Wilburn. Good morning, everyone. My name is Luke Bernstein. I'm the President and CEO of the Pennsylvania Chamber of Business and Industry. At the Pennsylvania Chamber, we have approximately 10,000 member businesses from every corner, every sector, every industry of the Commonwealth of all sizes. We represent half of the state's private sector workforce. It is really exciting to be here. As the governor said, he previously unveiled this initiative earlier this year. 1 week into office. I was proud to stand with him that day to launch this initiative. I'm even prouder to stand here today to talk about the initial results and as we look forward, what's yet to come. There's an old adage that you can't start a fire without a spark, and Governor Shapiro has certainly started a spark when he talked about this 10 months ago and has brought this initiative to fruition to this point. It's exciting as we look forward to the fire we're going to set as we move forward and get this economy going strong because of simple issues like this. People have been talking about licensing reform for years. People have complained about it for years, but it was not until the governor and this administration took leadership, took the initiative, and moved this initiative forward. I'm glad they are addressing it. I'm glad to stand here with him. I'm thankful for his leadership. And while permitting and licensing reform do not sound exciting, it doesn't sound like the sizzle. To us, this is really, really important stuff. And I'll tell you what, this is not only the sizzle, this is the steak. This is vitally important in making Pennsylvania more competitive. I hear this from employers all the time. We heard the examples today. Now, the great philosopher Shrek in his movie once said, ogres are like onions. They have layers. Well, as evidenced by the 2,400 processes for permits and license in Pennsylvania, licensing and permitting can sometimes feel like ogres and onions, with many, many layers and challenges to get through. Our job is to cut through them, to help others cut through them, make it easier to complete those steps, to start and launch their career, like Eileen to start a business right here. Licenses are so important. They are much more than a simple piece of paper. They're the symbolic culmination of people's hard work and hours of dedication that it took them to launch their career. Aspiring teachers, nurses, like Eric, pharmacists, real estate agents, dentists, and many, many other professionals have worked tirelessly for years, investing their life savings, taking out loans to further themselves and their careers so they could look down the road. And once they finish everything and invest all that time and money and wait for that affirmation, wait for that simple, yes, I'm ready to start, for far too long, they've wanted that green light and there was a red light stopping them from progressing their career. And I'm very proud to say that because of the efforts of Secretary Schmidt, Secretary Mumin, the governor, and the entire administration, we are really working towards putting a green light in place so people can launch those careers and start their dreams. This is personal to me, not just because of the chamber, not just because of my role. My wife is a teacher. Once a teacher, always a teacher. She graduated from Pennsylvania University, went to Virginia, got her master's, graduated with a 4.0, came up to Pennsylvania. Could she get her teaching degree or her teaching license? She could not. It took 4 months of waiting. Coming from one of the best school districts in the country in Fairfax County up here, could not start. And if you're a teacher, as Dr. Wilborn know, if you're starting in the summer and you graduate, they're going to be hiring. You might miss an entire year at a time where we really need our teachers. But this is changing because of the efforts that we're doing. People can now drive their careers, and businesses can hire and employ these talented workers faster, get them off the sidelines. The governor's efforts and the administration talked about corporate filings going from 8 weeks to 3 days. Pharmacy graduates hearing from 26 days to 2 days. Dentists from 27 to 4 days, and so on and so on. And it's not only licenses, it's the renewals. That's really important too. In a time where we have a nursing shortage, Eric knows how hard it is. He needs nurses not worried about getting their license renewed. He needs nurses working with patients. Shrinking this timeline is critical, and so we now can encourage Pennsylvanians to get their certification, stay here, work here, build their dreams here, build their businesses, raise their families right here. Wallet Hub previously ranked Pennsylvania among the 44th state to start a business. Reducing that filing time, reducing these barriers is going to help our position in economic standing and get people doing what they do best and working and bettering our communities. This is a huge deal for us, and it's further underscored by looking at a recent study of the U.S. Chamber, where we have 74 people for every 100 available jobs right now. So let's get people off the sidelines and get them working faster in the careers that they set out to do. It's really important to note they have all the credentials. In many of these cases, the governor's previously pointed out everything's been in place. It might be a minor stumbling block, but this helps gets the process moving faster. The other layer to this that the governor has talked about is permitting. In the case of permitting, the governor and I have both spent time in Pittsburgh at a company called Astrobotic that's set to go to the moon later this year. I joked with the governor and said, sometimes it seems like it's easier to get a permit to go to the moon than it is to build a construction project in Moon Township. But we can do both. We can go to the moon from Pennsylvania, we can build a project in Moon Township, Pennsylvania, and we can get the licensed professionals here moving through the fast in Pennsylvania by working together and putting common sense solutions first. And I want to thank the governor again. It's great to be here. I want to thank Secretary Schmidt as well. I've known Secretary Schmidt for a long time. He is a great man of integrity. And when he called to tell me about the process they've made, it was just incredibly exciting to see what you and your team have done to help the Pennsylvania economy. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So before I take your question, I think it's important to note we've learned a few things about Luke Bernstein today. Number one, he married up because he married a teacher. Number two, that was a weird Shrek reference. I just gotta say, like, I get it, but it was weird. I didn't see that coming. He watches Shrek. But number three, he didn't say it today, but I actually do listen when he talks. And many months ago, and actually I'm sure you've said it many times, he talked about a deal that years ago Pennsylvania lost to another state. And one of the reasons why we lost that deal to another state is that state bragged about how they could have processed permits much more quickly than Pennsylvania could have. You know, that state actually advertises on their website, come here because we'll process your permit quicker than Pennsylvania. That makes me angry that other states had been basically marketing off our backs. I'm competitive as hell. I don't want to lose out to any other states, and I certainly don't want them to think they have an advantage when it comes to businesses getting to market more quickly. We've changed that dynamic in Pennsylvania, and as I said before, I'll have some more announcements in a few weeks that's going to change it even more and put an exclamation point on it. So we appreciate the fact that we had a lot of work to do. We're making that we're doing that work. We're making progress. I want to thank the Chamber for their leadership, thank my team, and thank all of our entrepreneurs who are here. And of course, thank Representative Fleming and the members of the legislature who, I must say, on a bipartisan basis, have lifted up this work and supported that work. So with that, any of us would be more than happy to take some questions.
As Luke just mentioned, people have been talking about this for years, but yet it hasn't happened. What systemic bureaucratic hurdles did you have to clear to actually get this done?
Well, first off, I made it a priority. In just my first week in office, signing this executive order, directing the cabinet in our first cabinet meeting, which was right around that time, made clear that I expected every cabinet official to take this seriously, and they did. Every cabinet, every agency, was different. Some of them needed some added technology in order to speed up times. Some needed added personnel. Some needed a bit more flexibility in how that personnel worked. But the uniform issue here was that every single secretary, like Secretary Schmidt, Secretary Mumeen, they were all in speeding up the processes. So it's less about hurdles and more about everybody recognizing they had to do better, everybody rowing in the same direction, and then implementing the strategies that were going to help us move more quickly in each agency.
Congratulations on the successes, but as soon as we run this story, I know there's going to be phone calls, somebody complain and say, yeah, what about us? It took us this long. As you've had the conversation, what is the area that still needs some improvement in this whole licensing, permitting, and what are you focused on there?
I'm going to have more to say about this in the next couple weeks, including the release of the list of every single permit, application, certification that we issue, and how long it's going to take to process each one of them. And that'll be a starting point. We want to speed the process up even more quickly. We know that we've got to do better, in particular at PennDOT and DEP. We know we've got to move more quickly. We're already seeing great progress there, but we know we need more. And I think the examples you have here from the Secretary of Education and Secretary of State stand as the kind of examples of progress that we're making across the board, and that we have a commitment to keep that progress going. Listen, I want to hear from folks like Aileen, who had a great experience. But I also want to hear from folks. You can text us, you can call us, and let us know if you think we can do better. We're in the business of making sure that we deliver for the good people of Pennsylvania, and we know we got a lot of work to do. We're making progress. We're going to keep at it.
My last question. Earlier this week, we did a story talking about there's still a lot of unfinished business with the legislature. I know you like to talk about GSD, but the fact is the budget is not completely done. Mostly, yes, not completely. Penn State, Pitt, and Temple still waiting on their funding. Legislature not even able to do what shouldn't be a heavy legislative lift of moving a primary date. What, as a former lawmaker, do you see going on there, and what do you see your role as the governor in trying to move that thing forward?
Yeah, I think, look, it's important not to overstate the challenge, right? I mean, this budget was about $46 billion. We're down to, I don't know, a couple hundred, maybe $300 million of items that require some additional legislation. I'm not saying it's nothing, but I just think we have to keep that in perspective. I remarked back in July, I believe you were there in the governor's reception room, that I'm the only governor in the entire nation that has a legislature that's a full-time legislature and divided, one chamber Democrat, one chamber Republican. And that it was incumbent upon the leaders in the legislature to recognize they got to figure out how to work together, how to move bills back and forth, how to compromise. You don't have to compromise your core principles, but you can certainly find that common ground. I think lawmakers are still learning in that process, but I will tell you that we are seeing progress. Just this week, I signed a number of bills, including some really important bills in the healthcare realm and for our first responders, the product of that bipartisan compromise. I'll also tell you that in terms of my role, I see that as doing everything I can to set the table for progress, to bring Democrats and Republicans together to try and get some stuff done. I've got a good relationship with lawmakers on both sides. Heck, Joe Pittman, the majority leader, the Republican majority leader in the Senate, was at the governor's residence with me last night when we welcomed Pennsylvania's most famous resident, Punxsutawney Phil, to the governor's residence. And we have a really good rapport and an honest dialogue going back and forth. Even where we disagree, we can disagree agreeably and recognize that we've got to make progress for the good people of Pennsylvania. So I think it's a learning process. I think we're seeing some progress be made, but we got a lot more work to do. Anything else? Yes?
Luke, that 44 ranking that you referred to from Wallet Hub, was that specifically related to the time for permits, or was that overall difficulty for starting a business?
Overall difficulty. So overall difficulty, but I think the important part is when you look at the barriers to opening a business, one of the first barriers, how do we get a license to do it in the first place? So that just leads at the time. Think about from that 8-week time period. That's a significant amount of time, especially in comparison to other states. Understanding Pennsylvania, if you're in southwestern Pennsylvania and look at the richness of our universities here in Pennsylvania, you could start a business in New Jersey, in Maryland, in New York, in Ohio, in West Virginia. So you have options, especially if you didn't grow up in Pennsylvania, you're looking to go back home. This is an opportunity for us to recruit and actually market. It will take you less time to start and launch a business in Pennsylvania. So for us, how do we look at those metrics, reduce the barriers, and move forward so it's an attractive place for everyone to open and start a business?
Let me just build on that. I'm sorry, and then we'll wrap. I don't dispute anything Luke said, nor his reference to that particular measurement there. I think it is important to recognize all those measurements, whether it's that, CNBC, you name it, they all lag behind, right? Because they're analyzing data from the year before. Let's take a look at what those metrics look like, what those rankings look like a year from now, when you're able to bake in the progress we made on permitting, when you're able to bake in some of the progress lawmakers have made on making costs less for business owners and others. And I'll be excited to see the progress that we're making in Pennsylvania at that time. Thank you all very, very much. Thanks, Luke. I love it. Thanks. Thanks, Nikki. Thanks. That was good. I wasn't expecting that.